today's battle is between Moschops and Deinonychus. Let's get into this. The Moschops was 16 feet long, weighed 1,000 pounds, and it was around 6 feet tall. 6 feet tall, yeah. Deinonychus, on the other hand, was 5 feet tall, 10 feet long, and weighed around 226 pounds. So as we can see here, the Moschop is way bigger and heavier. But would that tilt this side of the battle towards him? Well, let's see their arsenal. The Moschops could bash into his opponents, headbutt, stomp, kick, tail slap, and yeah, that's pretty much it. The Deinonychus, on the other hand, has jaws, claws, and toe claws for ripping and gutting. Let's fight. The Moschops is eating some ferns. Meanwhile, a nearby Deinonychus sees the Moschops and thinks he's just an oversized cow, so he just rushes towards them and jumps on his back. The Moschops is a slow-moving creature, but he can be fast if he wants to. So he tries to shake off the Deinonychus, but the Deinonychus has hooked claws, so every time he shakes, it just digs deeper and slices him even more. The Moschop then bucks and yeets the Deinonychus off of him. The Deinonychus breaks a few bones, but not his arms or legs, just a rib. Just some ribs, you know. Deinonychus screeches in anger and runs towards the frickin' Therapsid. I think I said Therapsid or Diapsid. I don't know. The Moschop then frickin' kicks or slaps the Deinonychus in the face with his foot. But the Deinonychus then bites the neck of the Moschops and starts slashing its nose and face. The Moschops is groaning in pain and annoyance. It's like the Moschops then charges and tries to ram him into a wall, but the Deinonychus gets off before the Moschops can do that, and Moschops just ends up running into a wall without the Deinonychus. So apparently, yeah. So pretty much just Moschops just ran himself into a wall. The Deinonychus sees the stunned and knocked out Moschops and starts biting his throat. The Moschops quickly gets back up, but he's a little dozy and little effed up. He can't see well, and yeah, he's little. You might say he's even drunk. I don't know. The Moschops then groans in pain, and then throws the Deinonychus off of him, and then headbutts him. The Deinonychus breaks a rib, another rib. The Deinonychus slowly gets back up, and it's a stalemate. They both stare at each other, and then the Deinonychus just attacks again. But this time, he aims for the head, and his toe claw slashes him in the jugular. Yeah, and the windpipe. The Moschops can't breathe as well, and blood is gouging out everywhere. It's a bloody battle, but in the end, Moschops succumbs to his wounds, and Deinonychus wins. The Deinonychus screeches in victory before eating the Moschops. Verdict. In a fight between Moschops and the Deinonychus wins around 66% of the time. Reasons why? Well, because more effective weaponry, a lot more faster, and yeah, better weaponry, more aggressive, and yeah. The Moschops is a lot heavier and bigger than the Deinonychus. The Moschops didn't really have what it took to take down the Deinonychus. But who do you think would have won this fight? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys later. Suggest a battle if you want to.